Welcome back. Y'all know we're going to jam out a little bit. Hey.
One day, every day will be Friday, no. We got just to celebrate, oh. Like saying now you're Friday, no. My baby, one day, breakfast on the jet, you know. Tuesday, that's we jet, oh. That day, not today, you know. Big things are happening now. More this, more that, more peso, more cash, more peso, more...
Hello, family and friends. I am Nzali, and this is Nzali Takes Africa. I am so excited that you're joining me again today. So, the song that I play at the beginning of my videos is actually a song that was created by a student when I was working at the university here in Ghana. His name is Nazor, Nazor, and he is a super dope artist. And this was one of his first cuts that he played for me, and I was like, it's a hit. It's a hit. So I absolutely love that song, Big Things by Nazor. Big things are happening now. Hey, more this, more that, more this. I love it. And then you got it like, oh, yeah. I love it. All right. So now that I've put y'all up on some of the new artists coming straight up out of West Africa, welcome again. Make sure that you are following me on Instagram at Nzali Takes Africa. Also, make sure that you like the video. Okay? Like the video. It's free. It don't cost you nothing to like. Make sure you like the video. Share this video with your family and friends. And also hit that subscribe button because I am on a count up to 1,000 subscribers. I want to thank everybody who has already been supporting the channel, my family, my friends, the people that don't know me, the people that have found me on a YouTube search, on Facebook groups, Instagram, WhatsApp sharing, wherever you have found me. Thank you so much, and continue to share. Make sure you get some other folks to subscribe so I can get to that 1,000 subscribers mark. All right. So today we are going to talk about the 10 things that I do in Africa that I would never do in the States. Because people who knew me in the States, people who know me in Africa, y'all know a different person, right? Because the person I was there is not the person I am when I am in Africa. My environment is different, my mood is different, my vibration is different. So I want to share some of those things. And maybe with you listening to my 10 things that I do in Africa that I don't do in the States, it'll give you a little bit more of an insight to my world while I'm here on the African continent. All right. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into the list. Numero uno. Now I'm speaking Spanish. All right. Number one of the things that I do in Africa that I absolutely do not do in the States is bargain prices. Everything in Africa is negotiable. Okay, you can negotiate everything. You can negotiate your food price, your clothing price, your mechanic price, plumber price, your fee for overstaying, I'm just kidding. About the fee for overstaying, it's the same for everybody. All right, but you can bargain everything, right? Everything is a conversation. And some people look at that as a good and a bad thing, right? For me personally, I'm not a very good haggler. I don't do well going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It weighs my energy down, right? And I'm also not that good at pretending that I don't want something that I want, which is one of the key elements to being a person who can bargain well, is that you got to act like you don't like it, so that you have more leverage in the negotiation. And I'm not that kind of person. Like if I like it, it shows. And so it's difficult for me. So yeah, that's the first thing that I do in Africa that I do not do when I'm in the US, which is bargain prices. And overall, just negotiating a lot more. Because even if it's not a price, like if it's something you want, you can negotiate. Like everything is a conversation. Everything is a maybe. Let's work it out. Let's see what we can do for each other. So that's number one. Number two. Number two. Number two is paying as you go. So a lot of our like not appliances, but like our household bills are pay as you go. So like your electricity, they give you a card and you load money onto the card and they load electricity. You tap it on your machine, it uploads. If you don't have that, you have the app on your phone and you put money on there. And it's like, again, you're paying as you go. With your cell phone, the credit that you use is pay as you go. You put a little credit, you get a little data. Put a little credit, get a little data. So I just wasn't really used to that. In the States, I set up all my bills basically on auto pay. You pay it in advance. Um, and it's just kind of like that's just what it is, right? It's not like, and when I say pay as you go, I meant like the usage of it, not like, oh, I paid my insurance for the month and then next month I pay again. It's like, no, per usage you're paying as you're going. And so you never really like use more than what you've paid for or use less than what you've paid for. So yeah, that's something I don't typically do in the States. I just kind of set things up on auto pay and let the chips roll and fall how they may. Okay. Number three, something I would never, ever, ever do in the States, but I do it all the time in Africa. Leave my debit or credit card at home. Yeah, because in Africa, most of our societies are still heavily cash based. So you run into a lot of issues when you're trying to use your card. For example, I went to Pizza Man the other day. Pizza Man and Pinkberry, which is like an ice cream shop, they're literally in the same building. Like this is one register, this is the second register. Pizza Man's POS debit card machine wasn't working. Pinkberry's machine was working. It's like, huh? You're in the same building. Like, what is the issue? And so when you, especially in Ghana, when you're in a lot of these African countries, the POS systems that you use to pay, the tap and pay may not even be available. Apple Pay might not be available. All of those type of things where you can do like using your card to pay for things really just don't, they exist, but like they don't always function properly. Even my like Ghanaian bank card, sometimes the machines for my particular bank don't even work, or their app that they have, they encourage all of us to download this app and the app don't even work. So you always need cash. So second thing that I would do, that I do in Africa that I don't do in the States, is leave my debit card at home. I would never, ever, ever. Oh, wait, did I say that wrong? I think I did. So something I do in Africa that I would never do in America. Okay, yeah, I said it right. I almost tricked myself up. So yeah, leaving my debit card at home. I do it all the time in Africa. I would never do it in the States because I like to go paperless. But in Africa, I have to use cash more than not. All right. Now let's move to the next one. Number four. Number four. All right, I'm looking at my notes too, y'all. So number four. One thing that I do in Africa that I never do in the States is leave things unlocked. And this is more so geared towards Ghana than when I lived in South Africa. Well, no, also South Africa because I lived in the village and like wasn't much happening in the village. I mean, what you gonna take? What you gonna take? So same there. Just leaving things unlocked. Like let's say I'm going into KFC and I just hop out my car real quick and run into the KFC, make my order and come back. If I was in the States, like I would never leave my car unlocked. Even if I was going like 2 steps away from the car, I would never leave it unlocked. In Africa, it tends to be a little bit more safe. You don't see as many people like robbing and stealing stuff in broad daylight and that kind of stuff. So like I've gotten a little bit more comfortable with just kind of like leaving things unlocked here and there, not consistently, not really my house per se, but like if I have to run out of my car just to hop in somewhere real quick and come back, like I might not lock all the doors. Just being honest, I might forget. So that's something I would never do in the States. Baby, in Charlotte, North Carolina, never. DC, never. Florida, never. Never would have did it. Never, ever, ever. I'm locking everything up, and I'm double checking to make sure because we know how we can be. All right, so let's move on to the next one. I don't want to harp on that too much. Number 5, something that I would do in Africa that I would never do in the States. In Accra is pretty safe. So before I was in a relationship, I would actually like go out a lot. And not before I was in a relationship, I would go out. Even in a relationship, I go out. But specifically like going out by myself. Because when I first came here, I didn't know a lot of people. I wasn't really in a relationship. So you trying to meet people. So you're going out by yourself, going to different events that you've seen posted online or in different WhatsApp groups. And I would go out a lot at night by myself and be able to come back alone by myself at, early in the mornings, 1, 2 in the morning. Whereas in DC, if I knew I was going to be out like super, super late, I wasn't really trying to go out by myself. Like I'm gonna see if I can get a friend to come with me. I'm gonna drive myself. I'm not gonna like take public transportation that late by myself. All of that kind of stuff. But in Africa, people tend to, especially in Ghana, it's a lot more safe than other places. So I found myself going out a lot more as like a single woman, being alone at night by myself, like coming back from wherever I'm going to or heading out and stuff like that. And just feeling very, very like comfortable doing it and not feeling like every time I gotta just like be watching my back every other second. Like I just felt more comfortable to do so. But I wouldn't really do that in the States. I'm calling up somebody. Okay, now I will say this. Since from the time I moved to Ghana up until now, things have dramatically shifted. I don't really suggest it as much now because, like, number one, the economy, we're feeling the squeeze. And, anywhere when you start to feel the squeeze of the economy, there's an uptick in petty crimes. And so, I don't really have like a Ghanaian accent heavy. And I don't speak the language. So it's very clear that I'm a foreigner. So I wouldn't want to like unnecessarily make myself a target by doing that. If you don't know like the areas and where you're going. When I first came to Ghana, I was like vagabonding it just wherever, figuring it out as I went. Didn't know nobody, nowhere, but now like I know all the places. So if you start hitting the wrong road, I know you're hitting the wrong road. But just for like the newcomers, I wouldn't suggest it, even though it's something I probably can still do because I'm familiar now. But as a newcomer, don't do it. Just stay on the safe side. Okay. All right. Now, before we get into the second half of this list, you know what I want you to do? I want you to like the video. Don't just be up in here stalking me, watching me for free. Like the video. Show me that you like the content. Okay. Make sure you like. If you haven't already, subscribe because I'm on a count up to 1,000 subscribers. And if you really, really rocking with me, share with somebody else. Spread the wealth. All right, let's jump back into our list. Number 6, things that I would do in Africa that I never would do in the States. And that is eating with my hands, y'all. I never ate with like my outside of maybe like fried chicken or something where you pick up the drumstick and eat, but like eating your whole meal with your hands, that's not something that I would do in the States, especially if I'm like in public. Now, maybe if I'm at my house and I'm like really getting into that chicken, I'm like, or if I am taking a biscuit and sopping up that gravy, maybe. But that's in my personal house. If I was in like a restaurant or out in public, I would never, ever, ever do that. But in Africa, it's quite common that people eat with their hands. They will even share a dish together and everyone eat with their hands. Um, in Ghana, it's very common. You get your fufu, you get your soup, you eat it with your hands. Ethiopia, you get your injera, you eat the other pieces with your hands. So it's a very, very common thing here that I have realized the more and more I talk with my friends and family at home, that it's just like everybody's looking like, oh, are you serious? Especially when you get to talking about you all sharing food. They're like, so everybody dipped in the bowl? Really? And so it's like not even something you really think about that much here. And so yeah, that's something I do in Africa that I never ever would do in the States, eating with my hands. And let me tell you something, it tastes better. It tastes better when you eat with your hands. I don't know the science behind it. I don't know if it's just a mental thing, but to me it tastes better. So I say give it a try. All right. Number 7, something I would never, ever, ever do in the States, but I do it all the time in Africa. That is joking and gisting with the police. So, anybody, especially if you've been to Ghana, if you've come to Ghana and you've driven on the streets, there's always like checkpoints where the police will just be set up, stopping everybody, looking in your car, not like with a dog or nothing, just kind of looking in. Honestly, sometimes it's just a money making scheme. Like they just take a little 1 CD, 2 CD from everybody. But really, they're supposed to just be like check in to make sure your registration is straight, that like your car isn't falling apart and you're safe on the road, that type of thing. So when you get to those police stops, number one, the best thing to do is to just be friendly, crack a smile, joke with them, say, hey boss, is it hot today? All of those type of things, like have fun with the police. I know that sounds crazy to my fellow Americans, but yes, like when the police stop you at those junctions, like half the time they'll crack a joke, especially if you're a woman. Like they're gonna crack a joke with you. They're gonna be smiling. Some of them will flirt with you, specifically the ones who are always at the UPS road before Atomic Junction. Those people know me. They've been seeing me for years. Every time the man asks me for my number, every time it's a no. So get to know your police officers at your traffic junctions. So yeah, just joking with them, laughing. There's no fear. There's no like, oh my God, like are they gonna shoot me? Are they gonna kill me? Are they gonna harm me in some kind of way? That is not the energy of the police here. So you can always just crack a smile, joke with them, you know. And the more you are friendly, the more you have less of an attitude or resistance, the more pleasant your experience will be. If you start arguing with them, why did you stop me? Why are you asking me for this? You're just going to cause a problem that really doesn't even have to be a problem, because they are not stopping you to cause a problem. I promise you. So, yeah, that's another one that I do in Africa that I never do in the States. Joke with the police. All right, number 8. I'm sure you all have heard this one. Arriving an hour plus late to an event. I would never do that in the States. Like, in the States, people are very timely and they consider it to be like extremely disrespectful if you show up late somewhere. Well, in Ghana, like people show up late all the time. When I was in South Africa, I will never forget like my first day at my school in Longsdale. They told me that we were supposed to start our staff meeting at a certain time. People rolled in like 45 minutes after the fact. I was so heated. I'm sitting there like, how we supposed to have a staff meeting before the kids start their day? Meaning, like, let's say we're supposed to meet at 7. The kids do their morning assembly at 8. You didn't get here to 7:45, and we're still going to have that staff meeting. And then we're going to do, so we've like pushed back the day 45 minutes. That is such a common thing in Africa, and it's something that I literally have easily adapted to it because I wasn't the most prompt person in the States. So the idea that like I'm always on time in Africa because you know I'm usually earlier than the Africans that are from here. So I'm still on time. But yeah, the whole idea of like going somewhere an hour plus late is just like it's not heard of in the States, and it literally is like the standard. Somebody tell you something started at 10 o'clock in Ghana, you don't show up at 10. It's not gonna start. They might still be setting up. The decor person might be pulling up with you. Don't do it. You're just gonna get your blood pressure high for no reason. So adapt. And I have, and I like it. I ain't even gonna hold you. I like it. Let's look at the next one. What number are we on? We are on number 9. So we're 2 more out. Okay, so the 9th thing that I do in Africa that I would never do in the States is have house help. In the States, like you think of maid services or people who come and clean for you, and it can be quite pricey. You usually think of people who got a little bit of money, a little coin. Those people are the people that you think have consistent people coming and cleaning their houses. Well, in Africa, having house help is a very reasonable thing. It's not like super luxury. And I have, for the majority of the years that I've lived here, I've always had someone come and clean my home at least once or twice a week. And so that's something that I never had in the States. And it's a privilege that I appreciate um, by being on the African continent, and I take advantage of. Okay, now let's look at the very last thing that I do in Africa that I never used to do in the States. And this one is near and dear to my heart. This is one of the reasons that I love living in Africa. And this is one of the reasons that I promote other women and people in general, like traveling, finding a place where you can be happy in the world, and finding a place in the world where your version of the life that you want, you can live it there. And so for me, that has been on the African continent. And this is number 10, taking like random, unplanned trips, just randomly. Like there's been so many times that I've been in Africa and I'm just like, let me go to the beach today. And going to the beach today turns into a whole like 2-3 day stay at the beach. Let me just get this room real quick and just chill out. Or let me just go down to a dive for the week or for the weekend, and just let your hair down. And so the way that I have set up my life, in the place that I live, which is very flexible, you can do that. Like I can take my laptop and go work at the beach for a week, finish up my work, go and lay out. I can, wake up tomorrow and be like, let me just go up to the mountain real quick and kick it, and it's like a part of my, more frequent day-to-day practice than it was in the States. In the States, it's like, okay, do I got to take off? How much time, PTO time do I have? How far is it? Is it going to be expensive? And so that's the other key to this. Like all of this like random chilling that happens here is because it's very financially reasonable to chill and relax. It's not like you got to go break the bank to go and relax. You get what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. So that last one is very, very important to me because a part of the life that I envision for myself is one that incorporates rest and incorporates rest consistently. And so being that in Africa, I'm able to like kick my feet up. Girl, put your records on. Tell me your favorite song. You go ahead, let your head down. Hey, that is the vibe. And so I like that. I actually love that. And I've experienced it in both African countries that I've lived in and the other spaces that I've visited. And I hold that piece near and dear to my heart. All right. So if you want to get yourself free, like me, if you want to live the life that you deserve, I encourage you to continue to follow this channel. Make sure that you subscribe. We are on a count up to 1,000 subscribers. Make sure you also turn on the bell notifications because that's going to let you know when I post more and more content. And if you're really feeling jazzy and you want to see me on an everyday basis, go on over to my Instagram and follow me at Nzali Takes Africa. I want y'all to stay blessed. I want y'all to stay purposeful. I want you to stay in your peaceful, soft girl, soft guy energy. And I will check you all out in the next video. Have a good one, y'all. Until next time. Bye.